2001 starfa við vísindastörf í Finska Krabbameinsfélaginu og jafnframt framkvæmdastjóri leitarstöðvarinnar. Gjörðu svo vel. Please, Malila.
Good morning, or is it already day? I'm a little bit confused about the times. We have some kind of a 2-hour time difference with Finland. I'm happy to be here to tell about the experiences of colorectal cancer screening in Finland. I hope this is clear enough. You can then please ask me if something stays unclear. I'm trying to tell about how we have implemented in Finland a public health program for colorectal cancer screening. So, in fact, it might be something that would be very actual now also in your country. How should I put this forward? It's going down. This one? Yeah. Okay. And in this slide you get something of the Finnish language also. I just thought, because I didn't find it in English, you have some taste of the Finnish language. We have here colorectal cancer, and then we have women, all ages. We have the incidence in Finland. Now I was too fast because this is women still. Incidence in Finland is the red curve, and incidence in Iceland, Islanti in Finnish, is the green curve. And the period starts from 1960 on the left-hand side and comes to 2005 approximately, or 2006 at the right side. So you can see the incidence of colorectal cancer in women in Iceland follows quite nicely the line in Finland. It's slightly lower still in Finland, but pretty similar. And then the lower curves, the blue one is mortality of colorectal cancer in Finland in women, and the yellow one is mortality of colorectal cancer in women in Iceland. And again you can see the same thing, that the curves are in fact very similar. The reason why the Icelandic curves are doing much ups and downs is because the population is so much smaller. And the same for men here. The red is incidence in Finland, green incidence in Iceland. It has increased quite dramatically in both countries since the 1960s. And the mortality figures, the blue in Finland and yellow in Iceland. Again, from here you can see that at least in Finland, but also in Iceland, mortality from colorectal cancer has not increased since the 1960s. Even if the incidence is increasing. What we did in Finland then concerning screening for colorectal cancer, we launched a population-based program in 2004, and it was launched as a national program, but only in 22 municipalities. We had at that time in Finland more than 400 municipalities. Finland is divided to small areas which are responsible of, for example, of taking care of the health. And then from 2005 on, this has been expanding to more and more municipalities. Even if this was launched like this, it was still centrally planned, and it was also organized and run, the basic screening, only in one place, very centralized. Then we built already from origin, we have built in a gradual sort of expansion in the program, meaning that we start with a small screening population and increase it over time. There are several reasons for this, one of them being financial and also resource question. resources from the financial point of view, but also from the manpower point of view. And then the other reason, or the third reason, is that we also want to see what happens, and we want to see it without any disturbances. So we want to see whether this is functioning, whether this is going to provide the benefit that we expect in Finland. And that's why we are increasing gradually, so we have a comparison group during this program. The main aim in this screening is to reduce mortality from colorectal cancer. And that, as you already saw from the previous presentation, the 3 trials that have been done, we expect to get a 20% decrease in the mortality of colorectal cancer. In Finland, that would mean several hundred, maybe 100 to 200 lives per year, saved lives. We have at present around 1,000 deaths from colorectal cancer each year. So in this program, we want also to evaluate the screening program. We want to see whether mortality is going down. The same we have done with breast cancer screening. And last year, we got the final answer, final result for that. In Finland, we have been screening for 22 years, or 21 years at that point, and we got the result after 20 years of screening. And the result was positive. It was reducing mortality by 22%. So in this screening, we are expecting a similar decrease in mortality. Then, of course, in this program, we also want to test how this will function in the Finnish system, and whether people want to take part in a screening, in colorectal cancer screening. That means the compliance, whether people want to attend. We want to see the results, how the test is doing, how we can organize the further examinations, which are mainly colonoscopies, and how this can be done within the healthcare system in Finland, because Finland is also a wide country, and it is pretty difficult to come from the northern parts of Finland to a big center where there are colonoscopy services available. So the benefits, once again, of the gradual implementation is the gradual increase of resources, the promise or the evaluation prospect that we can see whether this was doing any good or not, the colonoscopy resources, which are a problem in Finland, or at least that was claimed when we started. And we claimed that when we start with a small proportion of screening, we can then, if needed, we can increase the resources as requested. So far, there has been no need for extra resources. We can also study, controlled the resources and the costs, and also the quality of the program. And we can finally, well, in fact, we can pretty soon see the program costs in Finland, because we have been running about 5 years now. The last point that considered to be fair play by the population refers to the fact that in a certain area we don't screen everybody that would belong to the target population. We don't screen them at once. We have a 6-year period when only half of the population is offered screening, and the other half will stay as controls. And this was a little bit of a difficult part when we started this program, or we planned this program. It was difficult for the authorities, but when we asked the population, they don't seem to mind. They have asked, I have been asked several times in situations like this, where there have been also people from the population, that how do you choose those who are offered screening, and how do you choose those who are not offered screening? And we say it's random. It's like throwing a coin. Nobody is picked. Everybody has the same chance to come to either group. And that's what I call the fair play. People think, okay, this is fair. It's not dependent on who you are or whom you know. Well, as I said, we have this screening and control arms, and it's at the individual level. So people who are in the control arm are not offered screening for the first 6 years. And those that are in the screening arm, they will get every second year an invitation to screening. And this is only for the first 6 years. We have a personal invitation, so people are they get a letter home by their own name and address, and there you have also the test kits for screening, because this is a fecal occult blood test screening. So they are mailed the test kits and questionnaires and advice how to take the test home. They don't go anywhere. And then they also may mail the test kits back. So there is no visit anywhere for most of the people. After they have mailed the test kits back to the central laboratory, they get a mail, within 1 week they get a mail back home again telling whether there was blood or not blood in the test. Or for a small proportion a new test has to be done. Then, because this is very centrally done, this screening procedure, we have at the local centers in Finland, all over where screening is taking place, we have a local contact person, usually or almost always a nurse, who is then contacted by the people who get fecal occult blood positive in their test. And this nurse is then organizing locally the colonoscopies. So it's already set up so that the nurse just asks the questions, informs the people about what colonoscopy is and so on. And then the colonoscopy is offered at the local level. And we repeat screening every second year, and there is no exclusions for those who are in the screening group. And this is the program, how we have implemented it in Finland since 2004. And the grey area here describes the target population, those aged 60 to 69. And as you can see, we did not start from all the target population. We did not start with a full 60 to 69-year population, but we only chose 3 birth cohorts at the start of the program. Those that will be 60, 62 and 64 at the year of start. And the same goes for the second year, 2005. And this 50% means that we have the randomized study design that only 50% is screened. So in fact we only gain 15% during year 1 and then again 15% of the target population during year 2. This also means a big reduction in the costs. And then the screening goes on so that those that have been offered once screening are offered screening again every second year. And the new people who come into the target age, who will be 60 years, are offered screening, 50 and 50. And this design or this scheme is for the 6-year period when we have the randomization. After 2009, next year, we start to screen everybody who is 60 years old. But these age cohorts that have been in this scheme earlier, they are slowly coming into screening so that we offer once or twice screening to the former controls. So how did we do so far? We launched in September 2004. We got the approval from the Ministry of Health in December 2003, so it was pretty hectic then. We had first these 22 municipalities in 2004, and by the end of last year, 2008, we had already 190 municipalities in the program, and there are still coming new municipalities this year. So at the moment, we already cover about half of the target population in Finland. We have only one center who is sending out these screening tests and doing all the test card analysis, and that is in Tampere. And our population in Finland, total population, is 5.3 million. In the target age group of 60 to 69-year-olds, we have roughly 600,000 people. So I think it's twice the population of Iceland then. So far, we've seen that people do attend. They send back the test kits. Of women, 78%, and of men, 63% send back the test kits. We think this is quite good. Overall attendance is 71%, and we aimed at 70%. So we have done what we aimed at. And in fact, at the second round, that means that after you got the first test kit and attended, and then you were invited again after 2 years, the attendance improved, in fact, at the second round. It was slightly higher, both in males and females. All those that have been found to have blood in the test kit, they are then referred for further examinations, and 90% of those have also been to those further examinations. The 10% that did not go, they had various reasons. Some were too ill, too sick to go. Some had already had cancer and cancer treatment. Some had recently been to this kind of an investigation, and they did not think it was needed. But 90% did do that, which is also very high. This is a map of Finland. One of the arms you can't see, but we have the left arm left still, the right arm. On the map, the right arm we lost to Russia or the Soviet during the Second World War. And the colors in the map show which municipalities started in which year. So in 2004, the dark red areas were the piloting municipalities. These are, of course, area-wise big in the northern parts of Finland, but people-wise they are small. And then the small areas in the southern parts of Finland are much bigger in population, even if they are small in area. And the small lines are the municipality lines in Finland. So it has been expanding quite nicely, the program. Still not compulsory for the municipalities. The target population on those screened, we use our central population registry, which has the current address. It's updated immediately if somebody is moving. So we take the address from there every second month, and then the address is fresh enough. We only have this one center distributing all the test kits and also analyzing all test kits, giving or sending back the result letters, also sending back information to the local areas. Then we have these regional contact nurses who organize at the local level then the further examinations, and also informs the population or the people, participants, about what this means. And at the screening center we have one nurse, still only one nurse, who is keeping in contact with the local nurses. There are around 80 local nurses at the moment. Keeping in contact with the local nurses and also collecting all colonoscopic data back from the local centers and coding that to our central database. So one nurse does all this and something else on top of that. Then we have organized it so that because the further investigations are done at the local regional levels, they send back information, the results, to the screening center. And if that has not happened within 4 months of referral, then there is a letter coming from the screening center asking what has happened, so that nobody is forgotten. Some response has to be given, and we have only very few people that we have not been able to locate and found out later that they have died. So that's the only reason why we haven't got some contact back. So everybody is really followed. There is, in that sense, no loss to follow up. Nobody sort of stays out of further treatment if that's needed, if he or she wants to. So this is, of course, you can say, I don't want to, and that's fine. And the feedback to those who attend screening, that comes very soon. Within 1 week they get the response after they have sent all the test kits back. However, because this is a mailing system based on mail, and our weather is colder than your weather here sometimes, and sometimes warmer, so we might get into troubles with the test kits, and sometimes they get too old or are otherwise insufficient. And in those cases, we send new test kits to the people. And those who do not send back any test kit after the invitation, they get a reminder letter that you got these test kits 2 months ago. Would you still like to, if you like to take part, you are still allowed to do that. And if you have lost your test kits, please call us and we'll send you new ones. And then comes the figures, which I hope you don't drown into these, but but this is just to show what we have done so far. Here on the left side you have the screening arm, and then just to see how big the population at the screening is, the control arm. This is from 2004 and until 2007, end of 2007. So we have, of course, already 1 additional year, which is not here. And the birth years that have been offered screening in these years, 2004 to 7, are those born in 1940 until those born in 1947. And those born in 1940 is only a small part of the population, because we only had those 22 municipalities, but then the numbers are increasing as we go to the later birth cohorts. Also, the birth cohort 1947 is the biggest birth cohort in Finland. It's the post-war baby boomers. And this shows that we've had around 75,000 people invited into screening by the end of 2007, and the similar amount of controls. And this slide represents the coverage among women in Finland, also the same years, by year. So the coverage means here how much of the population in this age group, 60 to 69, have been covered by the program, and then invited, the proportion invited means how many have been invited for screening. And again, you can see, and then there is the first round and second round starting from 2006. So in 2004, we covered only 6% of the target population and invited only 3% of them to screening. And attendance rates is then here at the right-hand corner. This is women only. But then already in 2005, the coverage had increased to 24%, and by the end of 2007, the coverage is already more than 30%, and it's increasing all the time. So in 2008, it's already close to 40%. And the invited is always half of the coverage, because we are only inviting half of those belonging to the age cohort, to the target population. And as you can see from here, from 2006 and 2007, the second round attendance is usually a little bit better than the first round attendance. And that can be due to the aging of the population. We don't know why, but it seems in Finland, in this age cohort, that those aged older are attending better. So 60-year-olds are attending worse are not attending as much as the older ones. Oh, this was men. The same figures for men. Coverage is similar, of course, because this is done on individual basis, but the attendance rates are slightly different. And in 2004, the attendance was very high in men also, but these were the 22 piloting municipalities, and then it has come down a little bit. And from all the figures with the first and second round, you can see that the second round is doing much better. from 60 to 70% in 2006, the attendance rate. And this is not because we would only be inviting those that attended. We are inviting also those that did not attend on the first round. So we are invited the full birth cohort that is supposed to be screened. And it doesn't matter whether they attended or not at the first round. Other things that might be of interest is attendance by marital status. Usually we have been used to knowing how women behave, and also for women this has been discovered that married people attend better than not married people. The females are at the upper level here, and the men are at the lower one. So married men and married women attend quite nicely. Then if you are a single man, your attendance is rather poor, 46%, 47% only. If you are a single woman, you still have a better attendance, but lower compared to the other groups. And maybe more scientific results already, but still here we have the number of cancers found. And at the left side you have the age at entry, at start of screening. So we have people that were either 60, 62, 64 or 66 when screening started. And then the first and second round separated the proportion of test positives. This is men. For men, the test positivity rate seems to be more than 3% overall. And always at the second round, slightly higher. At the second round, the people are 2 years older than at the first round. So that might be an explanation for that. And number of cancers is not big yet because this is still not that common. But anyway, we've already had at the first round among men 49 cancers, and at the second round 18 cancers. And the detection rates are 0.2 at both rounds for men. The positive predictive values are around 7% and 5% in men. And the same results for women, where the test positivity rate is much lower overall, but the same phenomenon that the first round, the second round, the test positivity rate goes up, and the number of cancers is much smaller, meaning also that the detection rate is half that of men, but the positive predictive value is still 6 and 4. We have some other, these, what I just showed you, they are unpublished still, but these sensitivity estimates, these are published last year at the end of 2008 in BMJ, and this is about the sensitivity of FOBT screening at the first round. So here we have again the attendance rates from 2004 to 6. Then we have cancer incidence by groups of people. And first we have the attenders, those who attended the screening, males and females, and the incidence per 100,000 people. So the incidence in those who tested negative is around 40 or 50 per 100,000. And the episode negatives is almost the same as test negatives. And then we have the test positives, where the incidence is, of course, much higher because the test is aimed at detecting cancers. And then there are the non-responders, those who did not attend. The incidence is twice that of those test negatives. And then controls, who is sort of the expected incidence without screening, is around 190 among females. And this data is used in the way that with the data from non-responders, we correct the estimates from those taking part in the screening and being negative and still having cancer. those that were missed by screening. And the controls sort of give the baseline that we could expect in Finland in these age groups and at this time. And the sensitivity, which this is published, so this can be also shown, it is slightly surprising. The attendance rates are as already reported earlier, but the sensitivity of the test is a little bit higher in males compared to females. Overall 55%. And the episode sensitivity is about the same as the test sensitivity, but then the program sensitivity comes closer between males and females because of the difference in attendance. It's roughly 40%. By the way, this is in line with the results from the screening trials that were shown by Asger earlier. So if we calculate in the similar way from the data, the sensitivity of the program, it's also around 40%, a little less. So at the moment, we still think we are doing quite well in Finland, even if we don't find all the cancers. This sensitivity means that we find half of the cancers that are there, lying there, and only at one round. Thus, this kind of screening has to be repeated to improve the sensitivity. So how are we going further then? We'll evaluate this screening program using the control arm also in the future. And if there is improvement, for example, in treatment of colorectal cancer, which is happening all the time, other time trends, other changes in the society, we can still compare the screening and control groups because they are from the same population and from the same time period. We are following the cancers and deaths from national registers, so they are not affected by taking part or not into screening. There is practically no loss to follow up in this respect, and we can follow equally well the screened and the controls. And as I already told, the first years we can see things like I have shown here now, but only after 10 further years, maybe 15 further years, we can tell whether there was a mortality effect or not. Just like with breast cancer screening, we started in 1987, and in 2008 we got the final results. That was 20 years from start. And this picture comes from very close to where I live, from I think it was November morning last year. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nea, for excellent talk. Are there any questions? Ykkur sem langar að spyrja Nea þetta sem við var að tala hvernig ristilkrabbameins skimunin fer fram í Finnlandi? Well, I don't think there are any questions. Thank you very much. Takk hérlega. Þá tími fyrir kaffihlé. Við ætlum að aðeins